TV family, welcome to the video. Hey, before we get it started, man, like, comment, subscribe now. We are here to answer the age-old question of who is the GOAT of the point guards. Y'all see my affiliation, y'all see what I'm going with. In my opinion, Steph Curry is the greatest point guard of all time. I'm not taking no other PG over my mans. Let's get right to it, man. You can't never hate on Magic Johnson, bro. He got the hold.
After Steph Curry dominated the 2022 NBA Finals, Iguodala called Curry the greatest point guard of all time.
Facts.
Did Steph really bumped Magic Johnson from the throne of the #1 point guard ever?
Like he did,
Here's
bro.
a detailed comparison between Steph and Magic to discover the true point guard GOAT.
Okay, let's see something.
You can't win
NS.
NBA championships without great teammates. Magic had Kareem and James Worthy. Jordan never won without Pippen. Kobe played with prime Shaq. And Steph...
Okay, then now y'all need to stop crying. The only thing I keep hearing from y'all, Curry played with Kevin Durant, Kareem, Shaq, Pippen, Wade, Kyrie, Anthony Davis. You have to have great teammates to win, bro. Stop copping out like that.
Draymond and KD. But what differentiates Magic from all the guys we just mentioned was his ability to impact winning from the start. Kareem had been with the Lakers for 4 seasons before Magic arrived, and he won only 2 playoff series in those 4 years, despite winning multiple MVP titles. As soon as Magic was drafted in 1979, the Lakers won 60 games in a season and made it to the NBA Finals. Magic immediately proved that his leadership and winning mentality were at a GOAT level. Without Kareem, Magic started at center in Game 6 of the 1980 Finals, finishing with 42 points and 15 rebounds to lead the Lakers to the NBA champ.
I'm sorry Curry's not 6'9". I'm sorry Curry's 6'3", can't play center. I mean, what do we do?
Championship.
Tell him
the Finals MVP trophy as a rookie. Johnson won another Finals MVP in his 3rd year and was an all-star in every season except in 1981 when he was injured. If we account for his NCAA title in 1979, he had the best career start in NBA history. For Curry, it took him a while to transform from a skinny tweener to a...
We all don't start at the top. I've made over 500 videos. I don't have 1,000 subscribers. We all don't start at the top, man. You gotta work your way up. You know, that's why I can't stand people say, oh, he started off faster and he did it better. What about the later end? It all counts, but longevity is the key to winning, bro.
Superstar. He started his career as a second fiddle to Monte Ellis and nearly got traded in his 3rd season because of bad ankles. Curry made the playoffs for the first time in year 4 and became an all-star in his 5th NBA season, which is a slower pace than any other player on the top 75 NBA players list.
Facts.
Steph has been a great shooter from the get-go, but overall, he wasn't as good of a player as other NBA greats in his first 3 or 4 years, and that's where Magic has a clear advantage. Magic is often considered the greatest passer in NBA history, while Curry is without any doubt the greatest shooter of all time.
Give me shooting over
it's
passing
kind of like
every
comparing
time.
apples and oranges in terms of offensive output, because both players are 2 of the best and most efficient players at their position. Together with
Magic was slinging that thing though. Pause! But Magic was throwing the hell out of that rock. When I be watching Magic highlights, bro, I be like, damn, Magic can pass though.
John Stockton and Steve Nash. Despite not being a great outside shooter, especially early on in his career, Magic has an excellent career true shooting percentage of 61%, just like Nash and Stockton, who were some of the greatest shooters ever. Johnson thrived thanks to his great transition offense, excellent post-up game, and efficient drives to the basket. Curry's true shooting is near 63%, and he's averaging 24.3 points per game in his career, which is nearly 5 points more than Magic's 19.5. However, Johnson averaged nearly 5 more assists than Curry, which would mean that he generated more points per game than Steph while being only slightly...
That's cap, because if you really know basketball, the Curry gravity, it gets you at least 20 points a game. Draymond Green has made a career off Curry gravity. Klay Thompson has made a career off Curry gravity. Andrew Wiggins became an all-star off of Curry gravity, bro. Stop that. Curry gets assists that don't even count for his assists,
efficient. But here, we have to take into account the difference in eras and the style of basketball that was played. In the early 80s, Magic's Lakers averaged only 20 made threes in a season, while the modern-day Warriors often make 23s in one game. So, Steph generates more points off assists because he assisted on more three-pointers. Also, just the threat of Curry's deep bombs spaces the floor and opens up driving lanes, especially because you have to pick him up as soon as he steps into half court. Curry cannot be left open. His gravitational pull draws the defense, and it's the driving force behind the
Don't ever say BME shouldn't be a coach. He said the same thing I just said.
Warriors' motion offense. So just looking at stats doesn't account for Steph's hockey assists, or all the baskets he sets up by demanding defensive attention everywhere he goes. Curry's off-ball movement is one of the best in NBA history, and he
The
became
best.
proficient in creating screen assists,
Zaza weak
especially
ass.
since he bulked up in the last few seasons. Another good argument for Steph is that Magic played nearly 3 more minutes per game than him, which inflates his numbers.
Facts.
Also in the playoffs, Johnson's scoring average remained at 19.5 and 39 minutes per game, while Steph's increased from 24.3 to 26.6 in the playoffs in 37
Big
minutes
dog.
per game. Steph also averages 27.5 points in his 6 trips to the
Big
NBA
dog.
Finals, which ranks in the top 10 of all time.
Big
ahead of
dog.
Guys like Kobe, Kareem,
Big
and
dog,
Larry
he's better than Kobe. Oh man, Curry's a big dog, bro. He's officially a big dog, bro. In my opinion, I got Curry top 5 all time. Stop this cap, bro. Like, y'all niggas, y'all be all straight nostalgia, bro. Y'all niggas is nostalgia watches, bro. And a lot of y'all didn't even watch this nigga play basketball, bro.
Bird.
Come
If
on
we
now.
compare their numbers per 100
Nostalgia.
possessions, it's clear that Steph generates more points than Magic. So,
Thanks.
because he's extremely efficient with or without the ball, and because he creates so much space just by being Steph Curry, the greatest shooter ever, we have to give Curry the slight advantage in offensive output. And on the defensive end, Magic Johnson was never a great defensive
Thank you.
player.
Thank
he
you.
didn't make a single
Thank
all-defensive
you.
team in his career,
Thank
unlike
you.
the other top 10 all-time
Thank you.
players. Even though he was fast running in a straight line, Johnson was extremely slow laterally because he was 6'9" and had a high center of gravity. In the 80s, his lack of athleticism and lateral quickness was somewhat
Damn.
masked because the game was played inside the three-point line, and it was easier to get steals in tighter
Ew.
spaces. Due to his length and basketball IQ that helped him predict what the offense was going to do, Magic even led the league in steals. But don't let the
32.
numbers fool you. Allen Iverson also led the NBA in steals because he gambled and jumped into passing lanes.
Tyronn Lue.
But he was by all accounts a terrible defensive player.
give me that.
If Magic played in today's pace and space era, he'd probably get exploited and targeted on every possession, and it wouldn't be pretty. The same could be said for Steph Curry.
Stop.
His small frame always made
Come
him a
on,
mark
bro.
for opposing offenses.
Come on, bro.
Curry was never a great defensive player
Come
in the
on, bro.
past, but that has now changed.
Thank
Steph
you!
is moving
This
up.
nigga, bro, whoever this dude is, bro, he's a real one, bro. He knows what he's talking about.
Adding 15 pounds of muscle from his first championship year until now. He's no longer getting killed on screens and does not get bullied on switches by bigger
all.
guards and wings. In the 2022 NBA Finals, Boston tried to wear down Curry by constantly attacking
couldn't do it.
Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown targeted him in isolation, while Horford and Smart tried to beat him up in the post. Bulked up Curry just shrugged it off, and the
Facts.
Celtics scored a measly .79 points
Facts.
per chance on possessions when they attacked Curry in isolation. Steph's improved strength, mobility, lateral quickness,
Come on
and
now.
willingness to hustle made him into a plus defender, which is exceptional for a player past the
He
age
gonna
of
lock him
30.
Prime D
While
Rose
he
up.
certainly isn't going to get selected for the NBA All-Defensive team,
he ain't right
Steph
there
has
for
become
5.
one of the better defensive guards in the NBA, and he now has a clear advantage over Magic in this department.
Thank you.
However, it's always difficult making player comparisons from different eras. Contrasting rules, non-identical
Bro, that
competition,
nigga
and
homie was 6'9", bro. There's no excuse for being trash. You're 6'9".
technology gaps are all factors that are nearly impossible to compare. But athletes from the modern era are generally faster,
one.
stronger, and more athletic than the athletes from the 70s or
This
80s.
nigga.
Bill Russell
Lamb
might be the
chop.
winningest player of all time, but his 210-pound Chuck Taylor-wearing skinny body would be barbecue chicken if he played against Prime
Barbecue
Shaq.
chicken.
If in 2013 LeBron got into a DeLorean and traveled back in time to play basketball in 19...
They would try to kill they would try to kill LeBron. They would think he was made in a lab. They would try to kill LeBron.
63, he'd probably average 75 points per game.
Yes, he would.
Aside from
Yes.
physical dominance and modern technology, players today are just much more skilled. They handle and shoot the ball better and are tactically more advanced. Most players spend their summers in the gyms
live.
with shooting coaches, nutritionists, and personal trainers.
There
So
you
if you
go.
want to know who would be a better player, prime Steph Curry from 2022 or prime Magic from the late 80s, the answer is pretty straightforward.
Come on,
Steph
bruh.
is a far superior shooter who doesn't even need to have the
Facts.
ball to be effective. And he
Facts.
became a much better defender.
Give me that!
22 Steph time traveled to 1980. He'd easily average 40 points per game. If you don't believe
That's cap, bro. That's cap. If LeBron averaging 70, bro, Curry at least averaging 100, bro. 'Cause they ain't gonna shoot 53s a game, bro. Facts.
us, go watch Magic Johnson's Game 6 highlights against the Sixers in the 1980 Finals. The Sixers were so slow in transition, and Magic outran them for nearly half of his 42 points, and they left him open
man.
on many jump shots, which were all two-pointers.
cockroach.
If Steph Curry played in that game, with his ability to nail threes from 30 feet, it would be like hitting practice shots, because
Yes.
nobody would even guard him that far out. Magic's biggest advantage was his pace, ball handling, basketball IQ, and size in the post against smaller guards.
bro.
A 6'9" point guard was a phenomenon in the 80s, but today's NBA is full of big guards that can handle the ball. If Magic played in today's fast-paced NBA, he wouldn't have a physical advantage, and he would always be guarded by tall, athletic demons such as
That nigga, his ass would be a Michael Carter Williams, bro. I'm saying it now. Like, no disrespect to Magic, because, you know, Magic, you make money. I like to make money, too. Like, we can do some click up a little business going on. But, like, if you played in NBA today, Michael Carter Williams. Look him up, folks.
LeBron, Kawhi, or Giannis. Because he didn't have a great jump shot, defenders would treat him like Ben Simmons or Draymond, backing off him and forcing him to take tough and inefficient shots. Defenses in the 80s weren't as good as some old heads like to brag. They were only allowed to foul harder. Even with the hand-checking rules in the 80s and the 90s, Steph Curry would dominate with his shooting and his superior ball handling, especially the 2022 buff version of Steph that couldn't get physically bullied. And because he is extremely well-conditioned, Steph would run circles around everybody, and players in the 80s would get dizzy trying to find him on the floor. So, in a Space Jam scenario, where we'd have to pick one point guard to save the Earth from Monstars in a basketball game, we'd take 2022 Steph over 1987 Magic any day of the week and twice on a Sunday. However, that still doesn't mean Steph is the greatest point guard of all time. In terms of basketball legacy and the greatest point guard of all time debate, it's hard to go against Magic Johnson. Magic instantly transformed the Lakers into a winning team, and they made 9 finals in his 12 seasons, winning 5 championships. Magic won the league MVP 3 times, most ever for a point guard. He made 10 All-NBA teams and 12 All-Star teams, and is generally more successful than Steph, despite retiring at the age of 31 due to HIV infection.
That is impressive.
Johnson won 73% of his games, which is the most in NBA history, and you really can't say anything against winning. Magic also had to get a lot of credit for bringing popularity back to the NBA when the league desperately needed it. And it's fair to say that Magic helped save the NBA from bankruptcy, alongside Larry Bird. We are not doubting his greatness as a player, and if 1987 Magic could time travel to the future and train like modern athletes, his basketball IQ, leadership, and winning mentality would come through. Due to better competition, more talent, and more teams in the league, Magic would probably not win as many championships, but he'd still be a dominant player, and we bet he'd play a lot like Luka Doncic. Steph still has a lot of basketball left to play, and he might collect more hardware to catch up with Magic and rings, All-Star, and All-NBA selections. But even if he retired now, his legacy is already set with phenomenal shooting that changed the game forever. 3 is more than 2, and Steph made the whole basketball world realize it with his golden touch from D. Steph is also the easiest and most humble superstar to build your team around, and that's why Steve Kerr calls him the short Tim Duncan. Just like Timmy, Steph is one of the best teammates ever who always makes players around him better.
I always say, man, Curry is such an inspiration, bro, because he's a great guy, great wife, great kids. You ain't never heard him getting no trouble, man. If I was Curry, bro, I have 17 baby mamas, bro. I'd be shooting threes and girls, you know what I'm saying, all the time. Nigga, I have 17 kids. 17 threes, 17 kids. Tell my mama, dog.
Leading by example. One could argue that his shooting records, efficiency, and impact on the game make him the GOAT point guard. But Magic has simply won more with less time in the league. So, we believe Magic is still the greatest point guard ever, even though Steph is a better overall player.
Y'all might be surprised, but I can actually agree with that. As of right now, I can say that, but my opinion is, I think Steph is greater than him, in my opinion. But consistency, like, I want to say all the time, right now, I say Magic is probably better. If I'm not biased, I would say Magic career-wise. That's what we talk about when we talk about GOAT point guard. Career-wise, Magic is better than Steph right now. But in my opinion, if Steph wins the championship next year and gets 5 rings to Magic 5 rings, Steph leapfrog him. Especially if we get the if Curry wins the 5th championship, his 5th championship and the 3rd, like, regular season and finals MVP, there's no debate. He's better than Magic. But hey, like, comment, subscribe, man. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you think Steph is the best point guard of all time or not? You know what I'm saying? Let me know who y'all think is the best point guard. If y'all say Russell Westbrook, please block and get me out of here, because I don't want to hear that, bro. Russell Westbrook sucks. He's not even better than this dude right here. But hey, like, comment, subscribe, man. I love y'all. Roll to 1,000 subscribers. We gonna get to him, man. Love y'all. Goodbye.